What's going on, men? In the last video that I made, we talked about traits that you should be looking for in a godly woman. And in this video, we're going to be talking about good boundaries to have once you have found that woman. 10 boundaries that you should set up once you've begun dating this godly woman. Now, the purposes of setting up these boundaries are twofold. One, keeping you from having sex. And the reason that this is important is because sex is a really powerful force, a great gift given to us by the Lord in the context of marriage. Marriage is the fireplace. It's the furnace in which the fiery, destructive passion, the fiery, beautiful, yet possibly destructive passion that is sex, needs to go into in order for it to be well contained and in order for it to be safe. In every other context, sex is not safe. Now, you might be able to say, well, I practice safe sex because I wear condoms. Yeah, but that doesn't protect your heart. It doesn't protect your life. Sex outside of marriage will ruin it. And I promise you, sex within marriage is so much better than sex outside of marriage. The other thing that good boundaries are going to help with is holding off on emotional attachment. Now, you don't want to hold off an emotional attachment forever, but you do need to have some safeguards in place that keep you from being too emotionally attached too quickly. And this is part of why sex outside of marriage is really dangerous. Once you've had sex with somebody, it makes you feel really close to them because that's what it does. It brings people together. It makes them feel closeness. It makes them feel intimacy. And if you start feeling those feelings for somebody who's terrible, then you're going to have a lot of heartache. You're going to have a lot of problems. So, but even without sex, you can still develop unhealthy emotional attachment too quickly to a person who is not supposed to be your spouse. So, 10 boundaries. The first boundary that I recommend is to not be alone in one another's homes or in your cars. Now, when it comes to not being alone in one another's homes, this is pretty simple. You're just not alone in one another's homes. If you're going to be at one another's houses, you have to bring somebody else along. And that might seem really silly, and you're like, well, I'm strong, I'm an adult. You might think that you're strong, but your flesh is weak. And you have desires that are built into you to have sex. They're beautiful things, they're good things, but they're made for marriage. So you have to not put yourself in a compromising position. And this includes in the car. I'm not saying that you can't drive alone together, but if you have, parked at a location or you've gone to your destination, don't just sit in your car and talk because that can lead to some problems also. That's not what you want. You want to be able to go into your marriage feeling that you have done the best job that you can to protect your guys' purity. So don't hang out in parked cars. Next thing I would recommend is that you set a curfew. And by set a curfew, I mean setting a time that you say, okay, we're going to separate now. We're going to go home. We're not going to hang out anymore. This is the time that I have to drop my girl off. And this includes also for text and for calling. Set a time that you just are like, we're not going to call each other. We're not going to text anymore. Part of it is so that you can freaking sleep. Because you need to be able to sleep. Again, this is about being able to have some not developing an emotional attachment too quickly. Set a time that you say we're going to be done to calling, we're going to be done texting, we're going to be done FaceTiming, so that you don't develop a huge emotional attachment too quickly. And give yourself some rest, give yourself some time away from this person. Next thing I would recommend, and this is a personal opinion of mine. You can, all of these things are personal opinions of mine, but this is one that I hold looser than the rest. Hold off on kissing and I love you until she has answered tough questions. There's a period in time where you have to start asking the tough questions like, what do you think about money? What do you think about Jesus? What do you think about marriage? What do you think about sex? What do you think about raising children? The important questions, right? The stuff that gets divisive. Don't say I love you. And don't kiss her until you have talked about these tough questions and she has answered correctly. And the reason is because, again, about the emotional attachment. If you start holding hands and you start kissing her and you start saying I love her, and then you start having the tough conversations, and you find out that she's, I don't know, she's a witch and she's had 17 abortions and she wants to not save any money at all, and like you just find out that she's actually a terrible person, well, it'll be a lot easier to say goodbye if she answers these questions incorrectly. If she's not up to snuff, then you having not said I love you and you having not given her a bunch of kisses makes it much easier for you to say, we're done. So I recommend that you hold off on kissing and saying I love you until she has answered tough questions correctly. In addition to this little sidebar, don't ask tough questions over text or call or FaceTime. Look at her face to face. Be with her when you're having this conversation. Don't text it. The tough questions are too important to be asked over text. The fourth thing I recommend is that you do things in a group. You don't always have to do things in a group, but this is part of the not being alone together, not giving yourself an opportunity, not giving yourself, putting yourself in a compromising position, right? Do things with group. Do things with your friends. Don't cut your friends out of your life. Don't be that guy, okay? Do not be that freaking guy who gets a girlfriend and then drops all of his buddies and leaves and disappears. Don't do that. Don't be that guy. Don't let her be that girl. Hang out with your friends. Hang out with your friends together. Especially just to find out, like, do you like her friends? What kind of friends does she have? And if you have asked her, I should say, if you are spending time with her friends, then you can find out a little bit more about the kind of person that she's like by the people that she hangs out with, right? Gotta be clever, guys. Number 5, make date plans. And by make date plans, I mean you as the man should be making most of the dating plans. You should be coming to her and saying, hey, this is what we're doing. Does that sound good to you? It just makes life a lot easier if you will make plans. But the reason that this is important is so that you don't get off track. You're just going over to her house to hang out with her. Not a wise choice, because if you don't have a direction that you're going, you're going to get yourself into trouble. Have a date plan, make that plan, execute on it. The next thing, have an escape plan. What do I mean by that? I mean, you didn't follow the last 5 instructions that I gave you. You didn't follow the last 5 steps of the plan. You didn't follow the last 5 boundaries. So now you're in a compromising position. You're at one another's house. It's late at night, way past your curfew. You're not in a group setting, and she's starting to take off her blouse. You feel the urge to have the sexes, right? You need to have an escape plan that you have come up with in your mind that says, we're in a compromising position. I need to get out now. And that can be as simple as, hey, babe, I love you. You're great, but we're getting too close. We're getting too handsy. I need to go. Bye. It can be as simple as that. Have an escape plan. Have an escape plan. Have an escape plan. Have an escape plan for when you are in those compromising positions. Next thing I recommend, number seven, I would recommend that you get an older couple that you are accountable to. Specifically somebody who has a great marriage that you want to emulate. You can ask them questions about dating. You can ask them questions about dating ideas. But in addition, you can also be held accountable. And this can help you not put yourself in compromising positions. This can help you to continue to maintain those boundaries. I'd recommend getting an older couple, especially once you've dated her and you've gotten married. Continue to have an older couple that mentor you through your marriage. Helps you solve a lot of problems. And it gives you some, if you and your wife are having problems that you can't solve with one another, or at least that are really difficult to solve with one another, you can bring them to the people that you trust, your mentors, and they can help you, and they can speak some things to your spouse that might seem hurtful if you had spoken them. Mentors are awesome. Get some. Number 8. When I went over these questions, I actually asked my wife some of these things, and she gave me a few. This is one of hers. word for word from her mouth. If you are horny, don't go out with them. And what she means is if you are feeling, super hot, super heavy, you know the feeling. You just want to have sex in the moment. Don't go hang out with her. Go do something else. Go do push-ups. Go take an ice bath. Go take a cold shower. Don't go hang out with her when you are feeling the hots. It's not a wise choice. Not a wise position to be in. Number 9, replace don'ts with do's. Whenever you come up with something that you say, we're not going to do this, we're not going to do that, we're not going to do this, replace it with something that you are going to do. We're not going to hold hands. Replace holding hands with, or in addition to not holding hands, add in, we're going to pray together before meals, or we're going to spend some time in worship with some friends of ours. Whenever you come up with something that you're not going to do, replace it with something that you are going to do. This makes it way easier. This is good advice in general. When you're trying to kick a bad habit and you're saying, I'm not going to do this, I'm not going to do that, I'm not going to do this, replace it with something that you are going to do instead. The last boundary. The last melon. The last boundary. This isn't really a boundary, but it's something to be mindful of. Be the enforcer. Be the enforcer of the boundaries. Don't make her defend you guys. Part of being a good protector is protecting the boundaries that have been set up. Protecting the borders. Protecting the values that you and your girlfriend or your wife have. You have to show that you can enforce. Don't be the one pushing the boundaries. Don't make her the defender. You be the defender. You keep her in check. You keep yourself in check. If you don't keep the boundaries, if you say, we're going to do this, we're not going to go to one another's houses alone, but then you go to one another's houses alone and you don't enforce that, and you get married to this girl, what you're going to find out is she's going to walk all over you, and she's going to freaking hate you for it. She's going to hate you for not being a strong man with a backbone. So be the enforcer. When you say you're going to do something, do it. When you say you're not going to do something, don't do it. Be strong. Have a backbone. Don't put yourself in compromising positions. Be the enforcer. You don't have to be a butt about it, but be the enforcer, all right? Show that you have a backbone, that you're not going to get pushed around, and that you are a man of your word, that you're honest, that you do what you say. Be that man, and she'll love you and respect you. Respect you. She will respect you, and you want that respect. Guys, relentlessly fight against the things that make you want to compromise your boundaries. Be relentless. Don't give ground to your desires. If you would fight the hard battles in dating, your marriage will be so much better. My wife and I fought the hard battles while we were dating, and our marriage is awesome. Our marriage is freaking amazing. And it's because we fought tough battles while we were dating. It's because I was the enforcer. It's because we set up our boundaries and we held them. There were times that it was not easy, and we approached the edge of that boundary. We approached the edge of that boundary a couple times, but we held firm. And as a result, our sex life is great. Our emotional life is great. We don't have heartache, and our marriage is incredible. And I want that for you guys. So do these things, come up with some boundaries of your own, and go get married. I love you guys. Bye.